26 games left to play. The Heat has a lot to prove, but for certain players, this is a crucial point to define their seasons and maybe even their careers. Which players have the most at stake during this stretch? Find out in today's Locked On Heat.
You are Locked On Heat, your daily Miami Heat podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Heat, your daily podcast on the Miami Heat, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Whether you're tuning in on YouTube or on your podcast app, thanks for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Join the Cookie Gang. Become an everydayer. That means subscribing, tuning in every day, Monday through Friday, and signing up for the Everydayer Club with the link in the show notes. Today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Have your cake and drink it too. Birthday cake flavor is back. No fork needed. Vanilla-y, cakey flavor, caffeinated kick, and no sugar. It's party time. Order now at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. I'm Wes Goldberg, host of Locked On NBA Daily and Real GM Radio. I'm here with David Ramil. Both of us are credentialed Heat media members who cover this team every day. We've got a great show for you on this Friday. Last episode before the Heat season begins. They'll play the Hawks in Atlanta tonight. And David, as we come out of the All-Star break, I thought a good way to maybe catch up on things would be to draft the players with the most at stake over this final stretch of the season. The Heat have 26 games left, plus hopefully the playoffs. And in thinking about this draft, the top pick is the player who has the most at stake, the most to prove, the most on the line. Who's really under the gun here over this final stretch? David, you get the first pick.
What an honor. And you're right. It's an interesting thing, too, because, again, we've been talking about the bigger picture when it comes to this team, but the team is comprised of players, and those players have so much hinging on this 26-game stretch. At least certain players do. And that's why when I looked at my top pick, I thought it was a pretty obvious choice, to be honest with you. And I started off with none other than Tyler Herro. He is my #1 pick with the most to prove in the next 26 games. Last playoff run was more of an indictment on Tyler's career than anything else, because you could overlook whatever had happened in the playoffs before, because he wasn't counted on to carry the team. This was Jimmy Butler's team. Bam Adebayo was a complimentary star, and whatever you got from Tyler was whatever you got. Then there came the 2023 finals run without Tyler Herro, and they were able to go as far as they were, and that looked like a reflection on what you might be able to count on him. Now, a couple of years later, this was his team. This was his ability to carry this group past a really good Cleveland Cavaliers team, and he failed in that regard. And then you acquire Norm Powell over the offseason, and you're looking at him as a crucial player to be able to take his game to another level after an all-star selection last year, and he's been injured for most of the year. And now that's no fault of his own. But you also have to question what kind of player he's going to be moving forward. Is he a building block? Is he just another player on this roster? Is he trade bait? What is he? And I don't think a lot of Heat fans, and maybe even members of this front office, have a very clear picture. And I think, as unreasonable as it might seem based on the sample size of several years of his career, this 26 games will have a lot to say in terms of how this team views him possibly for the last time. Because I think if you see what you want to out of Tyler, or what you expect or hope from him, then you can look at him and say, you know what, this is a player that we want on our roster moving forward. And if not, then he's nothing more than a trade asset. And you've invested all this time and money in getting a player that unfortunately might have a limited ceiling. I don't think that's the player that we'll see over the next 26 games, but that's why he has so much at stake.
He was my #1 pick, and an easy one also. If you weren't going to take him, I was going to go ahead and take him. He's played 11 games so far this season. Even if he finishes out the rest of the year playing every single game, and we do expect him to come back this weekend, it would be the fewest games he's played in a season over his career. And look, offseason foot injury, the fractured rib situation in the middle of the season, there are reasons for this that go beyond just maybe calling Tyler Herro fragile. Like, these are real things. Right. And you hope that Herro looks good coming on the other side of these. But foot injuries are nothing to sneeze at here, especially when you have surgery on it, right? Like, that's a real injury that you need to prove something coming back from. And the rib injuries are what they are, and they obviously slowed that ability to recover from that and get back onto the court. Everything that you mentioned is absolutely right. I will also add that he's extension eligible this summer. And
Absolutely.
that is a huge, huge deal, not just for Tyler Herro, but for this Heat front office in terms of, okay, like we don't have to make a decision. He's technically under contract next year for $33 million, but everybody decided it was best to kick the can down the road last summer on extension talks. And now we're at this summer, and this is typically when you would give somebody who has been an all-star recently at least the conversation of an extension. And what that extension might look like, I think, is a huge deal. I don't know that this front office knows what Tyler Herro looks like on the other side of this foot injury. I think we would like to know. Now, in the 11 games that he's played, he's been pretty good. The 3-level scoring has been there. He hasn't fallen off, right? He has been effective. He comes back and makes the game-winning shot against Dallas. Like, this guy is still a bona fide bucket getter. But figuring out what that looks like over the next 26 games and then making a decision on where are we going to value him, what are we going to offer for an extension, just seeing that from the front office is going to be really important. And for Tyler Herro, obviously, it's a business, right? And there's just we could talk about all the things about, is Tyler Herro trade bait? Can you turn him into a Giannis or a superstar or whatever? At the end of the day, this is his money, and there's a lot of money on the line for Tyler Herro right now, whether or not it's going to be the Miami Heat paying it or somebody else.
Absolutely.
My next pick, I'm going to go with Kel'el Ware. A lot at stake, I think, for Kel'el here, because Erik Spoelstra has been riding him hard all season long, in and out of the lineup, starting alongside Bam Adebayo as we go into the All-Star break. I still think it's a question about whether or not he's going to start next to Bam, or just, frankly, how many minutes starting, closing in the middle of the game, how many minutes he gets next to Bam. He needs more minutes. I think that much is clear. A good way to get him more time on the court is to play him with Bam Adebayo. I was a little surprised earlier in the season when Spo was starting them and then decided not to start them and then had no minutes with Bam and Ware. I think that's on Ware to prove that he deserves those minutes, right? And we could have the conversation about whether it ought to be on Ware or whether Erik Spoelstra is, yo-yoing him in and out of the lineup with good reason or not, but that's not really what I'm talking about here. It's still on Kel'el to earn those minutes, to show Erik Spoelstra that he deserves more minutes. Rightly or wrongly, it is on him. And that's what we're really doing here with this exercise is what's at stake for Kel'el. Playing time is at stake for Kel'el. An opportunity to show that he's a starter in this league, that he can start, frankly, next to Bam Adebayo. That's a key part of this, right? He might be a quote-unquote starter, but is that the best lineup? Can he make it work with Bam? I want to see him connect more with Bam on the court. I want to see him be more engaged defensively, be more physical as a rebounder. We need to see these rebounding numbers go up, right? You play two bigs at the same time because you would ostensibly get an advantage on the boards. The Heat have not had an advantage on the boards with those two guys on the court. They have been a better rebounding team with one or the other without the other one on the court. And that includes Ware without Bam, but also mostly Bam without Ware. You need to see the benefits of that, because if you're not getting the benefits of those two bigs on the court, why play them? Because you're sacrificing spacing, you're sacrificing pace, you're sacrificing ball handling. It's why Spo went away from it, and I agreed at the time of why he went away from it. But now, if you're going to make the decision to get those two guys out on the court together and make it work, it's on Kel'el to make it work. More so than I think it is on Bam. It's on Bam a little bit, but I think it's mostly on Kel'el because he's the one that has the most to prove within those walls.
Absolutely. I think it's a great pick. And I think a lot of fans, because they see the potential from Kel'el and they know his youth and inexperience, and they're wondering why it is that he's this highly drafted or why he has this much at stake. A young player should be given the free reign and room to prove himself, not just have it be in this crucial stage of a season. But that's not how life in the NBA works. You've got very limited opportunity, and when you get those opportunities, you've got to make the most of them. And I think the question about whether or not Spo is a factor in his decision to yank his minutes or change those around, those are valid questions. And I think there is a fact that is an absolute factor in what happens with Kel'el, but it doesn't change the onus being mostly on him to be able to prove himself during this opportunity. And it's such a big picture kind of thing here, because it's not just about whether or not he can be the guy to help save Miami's season, but what is he going to be throughout the rest of his NBA career? Is he going to be a crucial player? Is he going to be a part of Miami's system moving forward? Is he just another trade asset down the road? All these different questions, and a lot of it can be silenced or defined completely over the next 26 games if he shows up the way that he's capable of and that we've seen in spurts from him. So great pick. I love the selection. I had him a third in my overall draft, so I'm impressed that you took
not a reach then. Not a reach. One last point on Kel'el, not just these last 26 games, but we saw him get exposed in the playoffs, especially as a pick and roll defender last year. When we talk about what the playoffs mean for Kel'el, that's going to be a big thing for him too. We're going to continue with our draft after this quick break.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? Well, FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. The Eastern Conference feels wide open. Which sleeper team might have a chance at a deep playoff run? I love futures this time of year, whether it's picking a team to win a championship or maybe even grab a conference title. It adds that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. These 26 games for Miami mean so much, but that's the feeling around the league as well. And now, not only can you pick cash, but it can you pick cash in, but it can also send you the NBA Finals, a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there's got to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. And that's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. You'll love how simple Quo makes everything. Your whole team can call and text from one shared business number. No thing gets missed. Everyone sees their full conversation thread, which makes replies faster and more personal and works right from your phone or computer. You can even keep your existing number. And Quo's smart AI tools automatically log calls, summarize conversations, and highlight next steps, so details never slip through the cracks. It's no surprise that Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. So make this year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus you get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNBA. That's QUO.com/LockedOnNBA. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. We'll be right back.
As you might have heard us mention on the show recently, we launched a new subscription program called the Everydayer Club that includes ad-free shows and access to a group chat for Heat fans on Discord. This month, we are launching an all-new, all-access tier as part of that program that includes even more. If you sign up, you're going to get the perks that I just mentioned, plus the ability to text me and David directly, submit questions for the post-game shows, and subscriber-exclusive episodes of Locked On Heat. The daily show isn't going anywhere and will always be free, but if you're looking for another way to support us, we would love for you to check this out. If you're interested in being part of the Cookie Gang and joining the Everydayer Club, tap the link in the show notes or head to lockedonheat.supercast.com to learn more. Continuing our draft, you went Tyler Herro with your first pick. My first pick, I went with Kel'el Ware. You're up next, David.
I've got another player whose extension elbow is my third pick, and I think that's got a crucial stage in his career here. This is where it's really big picture because Norm Powell is my pick, and there's so much at stake for him because he's with this team. He has the potential to cash in later on this year, but I think the jury is still out on what kind of player Norman is. We've seen really great games from him.
Did you just call him Norman?
Yes.
Wow.
I think he officially goes by Norman
Federal.
Powell, doesn't he? Yeah. He just got selected as an all-star. You never see that kind of jump this late in his career. And he's always been a steadily improving player. He's always been very solid in certain aspects. But that doesn't mean that there aren't still questions even at this stage. And he needs to address those. One of those questions is how he performs in postseason situations. So I think for a player who wants to make it and get paid, this is such a crucial stretch for him to be able to continue to build off what he did over the first 56 games, to be able to add to that an impressive season, to add to his resume, and then to be able to take that into another level in the postseason. So many questions hinge on Norm's ability to be the consistent scoring threat that we've seen from him over the first 56 games. And he needs to be able to add to that. So it's a huge opportunity for him. And I think, again, could define his career, because the all-star selection came through and a lot of people questioning around the league, oh, who the heck is Norm Powell? At least from the casual fan perspective. Like, maybe he's undeserving in that sense. I think, and you do too, that he was a deserving all-star selection. But I think that's where he is. He's at that crucial nexus where, is he just a role player? Is he just a guy? Or is he a legitimate deep scoring threat, and one who can be consistently this good over the rest of his career? It's a really big turning point, even for a 10-year veteran. And so I don't think I could even make the argument that he has more at stake than Tyler Herro. I didn't make him my first pick, but he was my second pick.
He was much further down on my list.
Oh, I want to hear this argument, because I don't know anybody else. I mean, again, I think he has so much to prove. He wants to be the man on this team. He wants to get paid like that.
So he's
how else are you going to prove it
right now? I don't know that he has anything to prove. I kind of think that we know what Norm Powell is. I could totally be wrong here, but this last couple of years, all-star caliber scorer, not your number one option, but a really good number two option. At 32, going on 33, I don't think anybody expects him to develop into something more than he is, which, fine. He's an all-star. Like, he doesn't have to. He's not a number one scoring option on a high-level team, but he's the guy who could play off of a really good score. And he's done it his whole career. Kawhi, Harden, he's really filled in nicely here in Miami. I kind of just think we know who he is. And I don't know that anything that he does over these next 26 games is going to change anybody's opinion about who Norm Powell is as a basketball player, which is an all-star, very good basketball player. He is extension eligible. It's a great point. I just kind of think the market knows what it is on Norm Powell now.
I don't know. I think he can show that he's a higher level of that complimentary score. Fine if you want to be defined in that way. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. A lot of great players have been viewed as complimentary over the course of their Hall of Fame.
Made a lot of money doing that.
And made a lot of money. But I think Norm is viewed as a level below that. Like, is he really even a complimentary guy? Can you even count on him in that regard? Like, again, to your point, he's never had to carry a team, but he's been really, really good for these groups, whether it was Toronto or the Portland Trailblazers. Or
is he going to be able to prove that over these next 26 games, though? Because they don't have that number one option for him to be a complimentary piece, too.
That's why. If he can prove to be a reliable, even number 1B, if you will, type threat over these next 26 games, and in the postseason where it really matters.
The postseason is the key there. If he can average 23, 24, 25 points a game in the playoffs, he can make himself quite a bit of money this summer. I'm not saying he has nothing at stake. He's on my list, but he was further down on my list than here. The extension eligibility is the key part for him. My next pick, another guy who's extension eligible. I'm going Jaime Jaquez Jr.
Wow.
He's got two things at stake to me. Number one, extension eligible this summer, an opportunity to make a lot of money on what could end up being the most important, will be the most important contract of his career, right? Because this will set the market for how Jaime is looked at as a player going forward. Is he looked at as merely nice bench kind of spark plug who's making $15 million a year, or a guy who can legitimately close in on Sixth Man of the Year every single season, average 18 to 20 points per game, regardless of role? Like, what does this look like for Jaime, and how does this next contract define him? I think there is a ton on. I almost made him my first pick over Kel'el. I think there's so much at stake for Kel'el, or for Jaime here, rather. So not only the extension stuff, but also he's up for Sixth Man of the Year. He's third on FanDuel's board for Sixth Man odds. That's not nothing, man. Winning Sixth Man of the Year is a big deal. Jaime clearly wants it. He's expressed it. The Heat are positioning him to win it by virtue of just, hey, we're not going to start him. We're going to make sure this guy gets as many points coming off the bench as possible. They're not only doing it because of that. There's a lot of reasons for it, but that's part of it. I think there's a ton at stake here for Jaime because he's battling with Naz Reid, with Keldon Johnson in San Antonio for the Sixth Man Award. If he wins it, that should boost his market. It should boost his earning power, and ultimately the value of this next extension.
Yeah, it is a really good pick. I did have him a little further down my list, but I see your overall point. I just didn't tend to necessarily view it through the lens of the contract extension. but it does make a difference. Like, to me, the contract factor doesn't matter as much. That's to me. To the players, it matters a great deal, and to a lot of fans as well. So I get that perspective. I also just think with Jaime, this whole season has been more of a pleasant surprise and an actually defining turning point in his career. And I think that nobody really expected him to be this good, or at least what we saw for most of the season in terms of his off the bench production. I think he was always capable of that. And yet at the same time, I'm like I said, pleasantly surprised that we've seen it. So I don't know how much that's going to change over the next 26 games. Like, what is he going to do differently over the next 26 games that he didn't do over the first 50?
Win 6 man. That's it. It's just like, hey, finish the year strong.
What does he have to do? But even more
Oh,
specifically, what does he have to do to even win that award? Like,
a couple big games.
He's going to have some 20-point games. He's going to have some 10-point games. He's going to miss some time due to injury. Like, that's who Jaime is. And so I don't know that anything's going to change over the next 26 games. And so I'm kind of viewing it as we already know who Jaime is, and nothing's really going to change all that much. And yet you still want to see even just if it's an incremental level of growth or consistency, that's what you're looking for from him. And if that leads to an award, if that leads to a higher payday, that's all the better.
We're going to continue with our draft. A couple more picks for each of us, and then we'll take a quick look at tonight's game against the Atlanta Hawks after this.
Today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Welcome to the 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft. We're looking at every aspect of the draft to let you know which tasty flavors are the best and which just might be sleepers. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and only one is going to take the top spot because 5 Hour Energy has a wide variety of flavors, a little bit of something for everybody. They give you the boost you're looking for with zero sugar, and they've got great flavors already in the banks, but they are adding some even better flavors there. Listen, when I looked at this selection of flavors and I wanted to draft, it's so funny we're having a draft of players with a lot to stake.
A draft within a draft.
A draft within a draft. And you know what? I've got to go with cherry. I deviate from that,
Classic.
you know? Yeah, it is. But it's also a rich, robust flavor. It makes everything better. When you're looking at a simple drink or a 5 Hour Energy drink that adds so much to your day, cherry just does everything right. There's no weak spots there. It's a versatile flavor. It's bold. It's candy-like with just a little hint of sweetness, but not too sweet. It's got a little tartness to it as well. You can't go wrong with cherry. I don't know. To me, I think it's the right pick. I think it's the easy pick, and you can't go wrong with cherry. That's why it's my number one pick. But then you look at some of these other new flavors.
Can I give you my pick?
Absolutely.
As a true millennial, I'm going blue raspberry. I feel like blue raspberry is the flavor of the millennial. Am I wrong?
Wow. No, I can see that. It's like adding pineapple to your pizza. It's just, it's not quite cherry.
No. What are you doing there? Absolutely not. That's not
blue
okay.
raspberry? Like, I mean, a raspberry's even blue? Like, what makes it blue?
No,
like, what
it's
are
an
we
unnatural
talking
flavor. It's completely just lives online. I don't know. The blue raspberry, when I see it, I'm like, yep, I think I'm going to go with that one. That's my pick.
Listen, I like the taste of blue raspberry. It's great. I mean, it's a combination of fruitiness and a little tart edge as well. It's very sweet, really good. But you know what? Give me cherry. Cherry red, cherry flavor. You got to go with that. Blue
I love
raspberry.
cherry, but you already picked it. It was number one. I went.
Yeah, I know. Look, you can make a strong argument there for the TikTok of 5 Hour Energy flavors there. But you know what? I'm going to go stick with cherries. And you can too. I'm curious to see what our listeners have to say about the 5 Hour Energy flavor draft, because there's so many great flavors to choose from. And now you can find your favorite flavor of 5 Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or via Amazon. We'll be right back.
All right, let's finish up the draft, and then we'll get to a quick preview of things to watch for the game in Atlanta tonight. Speed round this one, David. We only have a couple more left in either way, but you're up, or am I up? No, I'm up.
You just went Jaime, so my fifth pick
right.
overall in the draft. I'm kind of torn with this one. I got to go with Bam Adebayo. Look, I think we already know Bam. I think the same argument that I used for Jaime, you can make it even a bigger argument for Bam. Like, we know what we're getting from Bam, but at the same time, do we? And the reason I ask that is because for the first time since last season, this is really his team. Him, Tyler, now Norm, etc. He has something to prove. There's no Jimmy Butler hangover. There's no excuse built into anything that's happened. He's incrementally gotten better over the course of the season. Can he get even better still as Miami makes their playoff push for the next 26 games? And what do we see from him as a potential number one option in the playoffs as well? So to me, he's got a lot to prove, even above everything else he has. If you're going to view him and as a centerpiece for this team, and you're going to quiet some of his more vocal critics, this is the time to do it.
No disagreement. I had him on my list behind Nikola Jović. It's been such a tough year for Nico. There's 26 games left. It doesn't seem like a lot from a team perspective. That's a lot of time for a player to kind of right the ship and change the narrative on what has been a bad season so far for Nico. You have 26 games left here to turn this thing around, to salvage the season, to go into the offseason feeling good about yourself, and frankly, to find a spot on this team. Are you a 4? Are you a small ball 5? Can you play within pace? Can you play? Who does Nico play off of well? Like, who's his like running mate out there?
Yeah.
I don't really know, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And so finding a place to get comfortable on this team for a guy who's been here now for 4 years, it seems a little strange that he hasn't been able to find his spot and his rhythm. But 26 games left, there's a lot of opportunity to do it. He's already got the contract, which is why he's not higher up on this list. But there's still more, to your point earlier, David, there's more than just the contract stuff. Like, you want to earn that contract. You're going into a year where that contract extension kicks in next summer. You want to feel good about earning that money. You know, that is a real thing for a lot of players, and I certainly think that's a case for Nico. I think there's a lot at stake for him. Do you have anybody else left on your board, or should we get to the Hawks?
Kasparov's Giannis, I think.
Okay, quickly.
We've seen him get more playing time. He's a rookie, obviously, but he's shown flashes. Is it consistent? Is it going to be something he can continue to add to? The three-point shot, he's been dynamic. I'm so bullish on his potential, and I want to see him reach another level. So I think hopefully we'll see that over the next 26 games.
Little mini leap at the end here. Maybe he says, hey, maybe you don't need to look for a starting point guard of the future. Maybe you have one right here. Who knows?
Damn right.
All right, Heat play the Hawks tonight in Atlanta. A couple things to watch for. Tyler Herro potentially coming back here as we record this on Thursday. We haven't gotten the latest injury report, so TBD on that. He's expected to come back either in Atlanta Friday night or against Memphis at home on Saturday night. So we're taking a look at that. This Hawks team, though, has not been playing well going into the All-Star break. They are bottom 10 in offensive rating and defensive rating over their last 15 games going into. They play the Sixers tonight. Again, by the time people are recording this, that game will already be over. So we'll see what happens. But they are playing on the second night of a back-to-back. So those are a couple notes right off the top. In terms of keys to win here, David, it comes down to one thing for me. The Hawks are not a good team, but they do not turn the ball over a lot. Right. And that could limit Miami's transition attack. So the Heat are going to have to get stops and attack off of rebounds. And the Heat are a very good team getting into transition off live rebounds. They're really going to have to lean into that. Coming out of the All-Star break with a little bit fresh legs after practice, it's definitely what I expect. Looking for outlets from Bam, from Kel'el. Tyler Herro may be throwing those outlets, underrated defensive rebounder, and getting those runouts. That to me is what I'm watching for.
Yeah, my player to watch is Kel'el Ware. Again, assuming that he might be in the starting lineup and knowing that they're not going to turn the ball over, what can he do as the ultimate line of defense there? Can he block those shots that leads to increased Miami possessions? Can he pull down those rebounds that leads to extra possessions? Those are going to be so crucial. And so these are the minutes where he can go such a long way to showing Eric Spoelstra and Heat fans everywhere what kind of a player he is, because he's going to be so vital to Miami being able to generate their offense a little bit more smoothly. I think it's such a big game and a big opportunity for him. So I'm really curious. And then, of course, there's the bigger picture, like where they are in the standings right now.
Yep.
Like Atlanta, 3 games back of Miami, maybe not viewed as much of a threat, but again, the perennial play-in tournament team alongside Miami and Chicago. Can they make a run here? Can they move their way up the standings? This is Miami's opportunity to say, nope, we don't want to be a play-in team. We're going to pass Atlanta. We're going to pass Chicago. We're going to pass Charlotte. We're going to pass Orlando. We want to be the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. There's a legitimate chance for them to do it. And tonight is when it begins.
You could say there's a lot at stake.
Oh, tying it all together. Mind blown.
Thanks for tuning in today to Locked On Heat. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On Heat so you get all of the latest episodes. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Join the Cookie Gang and get Locked On Heat ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonheat.supercast.com to join the club.